Hey guys, what is up? It is Eric here and welcome back to another video. And in this video, we are going to be showing you some of my trades from the other week, and we'll talk specifically about my most used setup of the week, the 1 minute pullback. If this is not your first video from me, you'll know that I've traded mostly breakout setups, which are very different from trading pullbacks. You buy breakouts at the highs to sell higher, whereas with pullbacks, you're buying at a low point expecting it to return to the highs. In the week we are looking at, I made $650 and I took 420 trades. With such a high volume of trades, I won't be able to show you every single trade I made, but I've made sure to include some of my losers along with my winners. And before we dive into the video, be sure to scroll down to the description and join the Discord server, and while you're down there, smash the like button to support the video and subscribe if you have not already. So now we are going to hop into my trades, and every single trade you see in this video is going to be a pullback, though I've divided it into 3 separate classifications because I do think that there is a distinction to be made between the different types of pullbacks I'm trading. So the first type of pullback we're going to take a look at is the extreme pullback, which is classified as a very intense, sort of irrational move in an upwards trend. And what's important when you're buying pullbacks of any kind is that it's above the VWAP, because if you're trading below the VWAP, it's no longer a pullback, but you're looking for a reversal. So anyways, we'll hop into these trades and we'll kind of see what I was doing. So the first trade we took was on GENE, and you can see it has an intense move where it breaks below the 90 MA. I purchase near the bottom and just sell very quickly as it bounces back up. And that is the theme for every single one of these trades, is that it's an intense move, it breaks all levels of support kind of irrationally, and then you just buy and very quickly sell. This is not a strategy where you want to buy and hold, because when it has these intense moves, it seems that very oftentimes it will actually continue to go down. And that's not the case most of or all of the time, but it does seem that happens very frequently. So you just want to buy as it has a quick recovery, and then you want to get out. And the other thing I want to mention is that in most of these trades I've been doing market orders, and I don't do that anymore. I'm doing join the bid, and I think it's very important that you do use join the bid, because it's way harder to be profitable using market orders with this strategy. And the reason why is with market orders you might get filled way above where you're expecting, but with join the bid you might not get filled every single time, but you do get filled enough, which you'll be making good money doing that, and then you don't have the risk of getting filled way above where you're expecting. And one other reason join the bid is really good is because as long as you aren't clicking join the bid at the very bottom, chances are you're still going to get filled, because if you're clicking join the bid near the bottom, if it goes down a tiny bit more, you'll still get your fill. And I do want to mention before I move on, I did have a loss right here on JRJC, and you might have missed it because I wasn't talking about it, but this is the risk as well. So I bought up here at $24.60 and I ended up selling at $24, so that's a 60-cent loss. And I was only trading 100 shares throughout most of my trades this day, but if you're trading in larger share sizes, losing 60 cents on a trade could be very damaging. I still was profitable on this day by a lot, but I just want to make sure you guys don't hop in trading this strategy with a large share size and blow up your account. Start off slow and make sure that this is a strategy that does work for you, and then you can start trying to scale up your positions. Before we resume looking at my other pullback trades, I want to show you what happened in this morning of this day. So on the left, you can see I was watching MOGO, which is forming a very nice bull flag setup. It pulled back to the 90 MA, it held that level, and is now approaching the high of the pre-market. So I felt very good about buying this setup, and I did choose to buy, and you can see I clicked buy whenever the bid was at 303, but I did get filled at 314, which is the halt level, but I decided to hold into the halt because the formation and the technical pattern was very good. So I felt confident that out of the halt it was going to resume up. And you can see that there is just a huge bid as we enter the halt, and I'm now just waiting for the halt to resume. And while that was happening, on the right side I was watching JRJC, which is the other gapper that I was looking at, and it seems that it was having a large kind of pullback like we were mentioning before, and it was coming down to the VWAP. So I decided to buy in with a small share size because I wanted to be a little bit cautious, and what I didn't realize is that this was actually the halt level on the downside. And I didn't realize this in the moment because I would have sold out. And I think you can see right here, I at that moment, I realized this was the halt level and I was trying to escape, but I did end up getting stuck in the halt, which is very unfortunate. And now going back to MOGO, we're about to resume from the halt, and I had my limit order to sell at the top, but it ended up gapping down out of the halt, and now we are very, very much in the red. But I decided to actually add here because it seemed to have been holding the VWAP and the 90 EMA, which if you remember earlier, it did hold that level. But the second it broke the VWAP, I had no choice but to sell at a loss for $235. That was my first trade of the morning. And very, very soon, you can see JRJC resumed, and it seemed to be getting a little bit of reprieve after being below the halt level, but then it just completely flops, and now I'm down 36 on JRJC, and I'm down 235 on MOGO. This was the first 2 trades of the morning, and luckily, due to all the pullbacks that I traded, I was able to end the day at, I think it was $223 profit, so I was quite satisfied with that. So the next type of pullback we're going to take a look at is the bounce, and this is a very nice transition from the extreme to the bounce because this is sort of falling somewhere in between the two. And what we are looking for whenever we're trading a pullback bounce is that it falls down to the 90 EMA, and then it shows that it wants to, like, it finds some level of support at that the EMA. So we're gonna click play here, and we'll see how I traded this on GENE once again. So it was forming a bull flag, and it's starting to come down and crash to the 90 EMA, and then in a very intense move, it falls below the 90 EMA, catches support, and I bought as I saw that it was catching support and quickly sold for a nice $25 profit. And that is how I traded this day, is a bunch of $25 to $50 winners, and I allowed those to build together to form a very nice green day. Moving on, we are going to be taking a look at some of the pullback bounces, and we're going to start off looking at EQ on the right side, and you can see that it pulled back to the 90 EMA and it actually failed to hold support, and it fell slightly down, but it actually closed at the 90 EMA, and the current candle opened above the EMA, and I bought in because it was showing signs that it was going to return to 18 and potentially test the high of the day. So we are looking to take half of our profit at 18, which we actually managed right here, and now we are holding on to half of our share size because we are seeing if we're going to break 18, and if we do not break 18, then we'll just sell the other half of our shares about at the 18 level. So when we saw that it's failing 18 right here, we decided to sell the other half of our shares for some nice profit. And now on GENE on the left, it was showing that there was some support at the 90 EMA. It touched it twice and held, so we bought, it climbed back up a little bit, and we sold for another quick scalp. And now we are looking at GENE once again, and it touches the 90 EMA, showing some support. We buy in, and then immediately, bam, another $20. We did that twice in a row. And then once again, we're on GENE, but this time it was showing like a bull flag, and it looked like I was trying to buy a little bit early, but right here I should have sold out. It broke the 90 EMA, and I decided to hold this. That is a mistake, and then I just kept on holding and kept on holding. Look at that. We are far past our stop loss. One of the benefits to trading this bounce is that your stop loss should be relatively tight most of the time, because if you're buying close to the 90 EMA, and even if you allow it a little bit of breathing room below the 90 EMA, you're still going to have a tight stop loss. But I allowed it to run far below where the 90 EMA was, about 15 cents more than what the 90 EMA was, which is just irresponsible, and this should have never happened. So the last of the pullbacks that I'm going to mention is the micro pullback, and of the 3 pullbacks, this is by far the setup that I trade the least. And kind of how I see the micro pullback is it's the later continuation of a pullback bounce. And the reason why is I don't like to buy when we're very overextended. But if we come down and we touch the 90 EMA and then we're starting to break out again and I wasn't able to get in off of the bounce, then what I'm looking for is a slight kind of fall as we are moving up for me to get in. So that's kind of my idea when I'm looking for the micro pullback, is I'm hoping that it had recently came down and touched the 90 MA, and now we are either at the highs or creating new highs. And with that being said, let's take a look at these trades. The first trade we're going to take a look at is GENE, and you can see that it came down and touched the 90 MA, and it is approaching the highs. And at the bottom of this current 1 minute candle, I had an order to join the bid, and I got filled down at 753, and now we're just looking to have a slight move to the upside where we can quickly sell to get some profit. And you can see I did right there for $13 profit, and this is a better example. This actually created new highs after the bounce off of the 90 MA, and on that micro pullback I saw the opportunity to get in as we went for a push to $8.50. So I get filled down at 807, and it actually continued to move down. But I still felt good about the stock because it had been holding the 90 MA for most of the day. So as long as we hold above the 90 MA, I'm still interested in it. So I tried to keep adding down here, but with the join the bid, you don't always get your fill, which is what I mentioned earlier, and that is kind of the downside to using join the bid. But it's still better than doing a market order in most instances on a pullback, because if you get filled higher than you expected, it can really cause a huge loss, and I've experienced this, which is why I've learned to use join the bid when you're trading pullbacks. But I don't actually end up getting my fill from join the bid, and I just hold with these 200 shares as we come up to the highs once again, and I sell up here at, it looks like 830 something. I didn't quite see what we sold at there, but we made about $52. And then once again, a slight micro pullback as we are approaching the high of the day. So I quickly buy in at 813, and then I went and sold up at 820 for a 7-cent gain on 200 shares. So that is the idea behind these micro pullbacks, is that it's a way to enter when the stock is actually extended, because sometimes it is difficult to find yourself an entry point when we are up at the highs. Alright guys, that is going to conclude this video, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, remember to hit that like button because it greatly helps out my channel, and there's a lot more content to come, so be sure to subscribe so you can get recommendations in your feed. I hope you all have a lovely evening, and I will see you all later.